So I've been talking and you didn't hear a word I said. Hello, this is Rhonda Nolan. You are at the 100 Black Men of Las Vegas Youth Economic Empowerment Club, Junior High Edition. I'm Rhonda Nolan, the program manager slash teacher for the class. And today we are going to review for the exam that you're going to take next week. But first, let's see who is in class today. When I call your name, please let me know you're here and please turn your cameras on. Okay, Ashton Larkin,
Here.
Dominique McCarter, Emmanuel Ojara,
Here.
Gabriel May.
Here.
Thank you. Hello. Harlan,
Here.
Itzel Chavez, Kilani Stevenson, Lauren
I'm
Bart.
here.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you. Lauren Bart playing, Milan Waller,
Here.
Nadicia Gant, Sanya Cummings or Sonia Cummings, Sydney Price,
Sanaya is here.
Sanaya, sorry about that, Sanaya. You know, I kill the names. I'm bad for that.
It's all
Real
right.
bad. Sydney Price, Talea Westerman,
Here.
Tavion Smith, Tremere Bradley, Xavier Henry, Yali Matore, Zaire Holiday. Okay.
Wait, you marked Harlan, right?
Harlan. Let's see, Harlan. Do we have you, Harlan? Let's see. Okay, Harlan, we do have you.
All right, thank you.
Yes, yes, we do. Okay, everybody turn your cameras on and let's get into our discussion. So today is Saturday, March the 8th. It is bright and shiny outside, and we're glad to be here today. So this has been the Wells Fargo's hands-on banking class, and over the last several weeks, you have learned about several different things. You've learned about where money comes from. You've learned about budgeting. You've learned about checking and savings account. You've learned about credit, and you've learned about investing. So I have a question for the class. Can someone tell me, where does money come from? Where does money come from? Can anybody tell me where they make the money? Does anybody know where they actually make the dollars and where they
The,
actually make the quarters and pennies and all that fun stuff?
the Federal Reserve.
Federal Reserve. You are correct, Milan. You are correct. Do you know where the Federal Reserve is located?
There's a few, but isn't one in DC?
Yes, you are correct. The main Federal Reserve is in Washington, D.C. That is where they make the bills, dollars, fives, tens, twenties, and so on and so forth, hundreds and fifties. And the U.S. Mint is where they make the coins, but they make the dollars. And so when you look at any bills that you might have in your wallet or your purse or your piggy bank, all those bills have numbers on it, and all those numbers mean something. They don't make new money every year, to be quite honest with you. They make new money probably every couple of years, but they put serial numbers on them. So they know that those serial numbers, they know it's money that they issue, because sometimes people make fake money. So the reason why they put the serial numbers on there, so they'll know that it was actually issued by the United States. So, okay, very good. Now, does anybody have a part-time job on the call? Everybody, please turn your cameras on so we can see you. Does anybody have a part-time job? Yes, no, maybe? Yeah.
No.
Is that a no?
Yeah.
That's a yes? You have a job, part-time job?
No.
You don't have a part-time job. Okay, does anybody do chores around their house and their parents give them money for the chores?
Yeah.
Okay, So where do your parents get that money from? Do you know? Where do your parents get the money from that they pay you to do your chores?
Working.
Working. That's right. Your parents get that money from their job. And so they share with you some of the money they get from their job and they give it to you for you doing chores around the house. Very good. Okay. Now let me ask you all another question. Hello, Mr. Amos. How you doing today?
I'm good. Good morning, everybody. How are you?
Good, good. So we're reviewing some of the classes that we had. Today is our review as we prepare for our test next week. And so the students have learned where does money come from? They've learned about budgeting. They've learned about savings and checkings account. They've learned about credit and they've learned about investing. So I'm just picking their brains, asking them some questions about some of the stuff they learned. So they'll be ready for their test next week. So how many students have created a budget? Anyone? Milan, thank you. You've created, but tell me, and Kimberly, okay, fantastic. So, not Nadicia, beautiful. Tell me, what are some of the items on your budget, Nadicia? What do you have on your budget?
Um, I have some things like video game currency, and then I also have snacks or food when I go on a trip for maybe like a field trip or something else of the sorts.
Fantastic. So, how much money do you spend each month?
Around maybe $35.
Okay, about $35 a month. And then now, where do you get that $35 from a month to spend?
I do chores that my mom allows me to, and every 20th and 5th of the month, I get paid.
So you get a paycheck on the 5th and the 20th of each month. That's fantastic. Now, do you keep your pay that your parents give you in the home or do you put it in your bank account?
Um, I keep it in my home, but my mom, well, not necessarily. My mom directs the money into my green light, and then I just spend it from there or I save it.
Is Green Light a debit or credit card?
It's a debit card.
Fantastic. Okay, thank you for sharing. Sanaya, how you doing this morning? Sanaya?
Again, I sent you a direct message. This is Kimberly, her mom.
Oh,
Sanaya is not necessarily feeling well, and
okay.
she's gonna be listening in though.
Okay, no
Yeah.
worries. Okay,
Thank
let's see.
you.
You're welcome. Someone else raised their hand. I want to find out who else has a little job that they gets paid from. Who's the third person? Who gets paid for their chores? Xavier,
I don't get paid for my chores.
you don't get paid for your chores?
No.
What chores do you do around the house?
I wash the dishes and I fold water.
Okay, but you don't get paid for that. Okay, no extra money for that. Okay, great. All right. Harlan, are you with us?
Um, I don't really get paid for chores. Most of the time, it's only if like ask if I do chores and like get paid, but they don't really pay me for chores if I do.
Okay. Kilani, Kilani, are you there? Okay, I have another question. Let's talk
So
about,
let me make a comment. Nadesha made a good point about the debit card called from Greenlight. So it functions the same way like a bank account, and you get a debit card and you get an app on your phone, so you can always keep a running total of what you get in and what you get out. So as we go as most of the things are online now, it's actually a very good use of what we've been talking to you about, getting a savings account or a bank account. So it's a virtual bank account where you can put in your money and you can spend it with a debit card. And that actually teaches you how to keep track of your money. So if you're interested, I'll put a link in so you can see it after the class, what it looks like, and you can compare with the other bank or savings accounts we've been talking about. Thank you.
All right. Okay. So that was our information about the green light card. Okay. So, can everyone turn their cameras on, other than people's whose cameras are not working? Because there are a couple people's cameras are not working. If your camera is working, please cut your camera on so that we can see your bright and shiny face.
My camera won't allow me to turn on my camera. I don't know why. I keep doing it, but it won't let me.
Okay, no problem. Everyone else? So now,
Light, when the green light, alright. So I'm about to download this, alright, because the other one's not working.
okay, thank you for the update. So it's always so now that we know we have a couple people on here who have a budget and they actually know how much money they spend every month. That's really good. It's good for everybody to have a budget.
Yeah, green light.
No, dang well, none of them kids got a budget.
Hello? Okay, so like I was saying, it's good for everybody to have a budget. Having a budget makes you aware of how much money that you have on hand and how much money you're spending every month. Even if you have just a part-time job of doing chores around the house, it's always good to have a little budget so you can see how you're spending your money. Now, another thing we want to talk about today is we want to talk about your savings account and your checking account. How many folks on this call have a savings or checking account? You can just raise your hand and we can see you. Raise your hand if you already have a checking or savings account. Okay, I see one hand. I see two. I see two hands. Okay, so we talked about savings and checkings account, and we talked about how all of them work. As you know, people have a savings account in order to save money for various and assorted things. You might be saving to go to college. You might be saving for a car. You might be saving for a new bicycle. So any money that you would make, you would put in your savings account until you saved up enough money to purchase whatever it is you want to purchase. Now, your checking account is an account that you would use to pay bills. So if you actually paid any bills, you would write a check or you would do a payment, electronic payment from your checking account. So everybody knows that if you open up a checking account, if you don't already have a checking account and you open up a checking account, or you have already opened up one between January and now, and if you have placed $200 in your checking account or savings account, that the 100 Black Men of Las Vegas is going to match you for $200 once this class is over. So if you have not opened up your checking account, you still have time to open up your account and make a deposit. And then even if you just open up your account with $100, we're going to give you $100 at the end of the class to match it. But if you can open up your checking or savings account with $200, we will give you $200 to match it. Then that means more money in your savings. Does that sound good? Now, I want you guys to tell me I want you to tell me some of the do's and don'ts with your checking account. Can you tell me what not to do with a checking account? We're listening. Do you understand the question?
For a checking account, when you isn't there like a timestamp like that you can't check, cash in a check after it's been like a while?
Yes, it is. If a person writes you a handwritten check, you have 90 days to cash it. If you don't cash it within 90 days, it will be void. What else
I
are
have
you
a
not?
question.
Yes,
Is there a limit to the amount of money you could put on a check?
in your checking account?
No, like on a paper check.
Amos, you want to take that one?
There's technically no limit on the checking account, but it can't exceed the amount of money in your account. So if you have, you remember when we talked about bad checks. So if you have $100 in your checking account and you write a check for $200, it will be returned as insufficient funds. And that's what's called a bad check. And state of Nevada actually makes it an offense for you to write a bad check. So you always have to write a check within the limits of what you have in your bank account. And it's not a hard and fast rule that you can write a check for several $1,000,000 if you have that amount of money. But at that point, it's safer for you to do what's called a bank transfer. So anything like rule of thumb more than $1,000,000, it's safer to do a bank transfer as opposed to writing a check. But the hard rule is that you can't write a check more than what you have in your bank account because it will be returned as insufficient funds, and that's an offense under the state in the state of Nevada and other states as well. So is that clear? Does that answer your question in terms of
That's what
how?
yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome.
Yes, so you have to be very careful with your checking account and very careful about how you do business. So like Mr. Amos said, you always want to have enough money in the bank to cover the check that you're writing, to pay a bill or to pay a person. Okay, very good. Savings account. Let's talk about that a little bit. How much interest do you think you would make if you had a savings account with a bank? How much interest do you think a bank would pay you every month for holding your money? Anybody? Anyone? Does anyone currently have a savings account and know how much money they're making? What the interest is the bank is paying you for keeping your money in that account? Milan, yes.
I've had my banking account, or I mean not my banking account, my savings account since I was like in second or third grade, and I know the interest increase over time.
Mm-hmm.
So I think right now it's at 9%
You get 9% interest on your savings account?
or something like that. It's something with a 9 in it. I'm not
Wow.
sure.
Wow. Who are you
That's
been
good.
with?
That's good for you.
Yeah, my grandfather set it up.
Uh-huh.
He puts a lot of money in it every year.
Nice.
Good. That's very good.
That's good.
The interest rates at the moment, I mean, it's not as high as 9%, but it's anywhere from, depending on where you put your money, mostly around 4.9% at the most, but it can be as less as 0.9%. And some savings account have like a minimum balance for you to qualify for that interest. So it's never it's never a standard amount. It's always moving depending on where you bank, the amount of money you bank, and the type of account you have in the bank. So some special teen accounts would have better interest, and some special like kids accounts would have different interests. So it's always do your do your homework to be able to know which kind of account savings account it is, and where you're banking. Where you're banking might depend on where your parents or grandparents bank because they have that relationship already. But that's always how you look at that. And also other options like what we talked about green light. There are other options for kids online accounts so that your parents can see what you're doing and you can always request money from them, etc. So Many options, but in short, it means there's interest and it's different from bank to bank and from the type of accounts. It's all savings accounts, but it's different within the bank. So good job on having your savings account and your interest. Confirm again, just check, ask your grandfather or your parents what the actual interest rate is.
Yes, and then let me know what bank that is because I'm gonna put some money in there. Because currently I bank at Capital One and I have a savings account, but they're only giving me like 2% interest on the money that I have in that account. So I'm not making a whole lot of money. But remember, the reason why the banks are giving you the interest is because they're lending your money to someone else. So you put your money in the savings account and it's sitting there, everything is lovely, you're not touching it. Then every month they give you interest because they have lent your money to other people and they have charged those people interest for lending the money. So what that means is that if I go to Capital One Bank and I get a car loan, right? And I'm going to buy a new car and I get a loan. Well, the bank gives me an interest rate on the money they're giving to me to loan me to buy the car. So say if the car costs $20,000, the bank is giving me the $20,000, but they're also charging me interest. So the interest could be 3%, 5%, 10%. It really depends on what my credit score is. So the better your credit score, the lower the interest rate you get. So if you have an 800 credit score, which is like an A plus, right? An 800 credit score gets you low interest. So I had a friend of mine who had an 800 credit score and she got a car loan at 3% interest. 3%. It was great. Her car note was like $250 a month because her interest was low, right? So great credit gets you lower interest on items you purchase, and bad credit gets you high interest. So for a person with an 800 credit score, she's paying $250 for a $20,000 car, but a person with a bad credit score, 500 or less, might be paying 25% interest. Their car note could be like $500, $600 a month because of the interest, because of their bad credit. So always remember that the banks have borrowed your money, they're loaning it out, and they're paying you for the use of your money. That's why they like you to keep the money in your savings account or your IRA account or any other type of money market account because they're making money off of your money, to make a long story short. Does everybody understand what we're saying? Anybody confused? Anybody have any other questions? No? So let's talk about credit score. What is one thing you learned about your credit score while you were in this class? Anyone? Anyone?
If you have lower or higher credit, it affects the amount you can withdraw from well, I'll draw, but I'll take a loan from the banks.
That's correct. What else have you learned?
The lower your credit score is, the less likely people are going to trust you with a credit card.
That is correct. That's correct. Anyone else? Okay. Well, yes, a credit score is extremely important. What's most important to know that if you have bills that you have to pay monthly, the most important thing to know is to pay your bills on time because that affects your credit score. So, say you have a J.C. Penney's credit card and it's due on the 15th of each month. You want to make sure that you pay them by the 15th of each month. You don't want the payment to come after the 15th because if payment comes after the 15th, you are late. Even if they get it the next day on the 16th, they will tell the credit bureaus that you are 30 days late, and that is a bad mark on your credit. So you don't want to do that. Another thing you want to remember when you have credit cards with different banks, Bank of America, Chase, Wells Fargo, the credit union, all those fun places, be aware of where their headquarters is, and I'll tell you why. If their headquarters is on the East Coast, the banks close at 5 o'clock, and then their cutoff time for payments is about 7 o'clock that evening, Eastern Standard Time, right? But if your bank is on the West Coast, then that time is 5 o'clock, and you have to 7 p.m. The reason why I'm telling you this is because this is what happened to me one time with my Capital One credit card. Say my Capital One credit card was due on the 8th. I didn't set up payment before the 8th. So when I went to pay them on the 8th, it was after 8 o'clock at night. because it was 5 o'clock in Las Vegas, but it was 8 o'clock on the East Coast, and they deemed me late because it was after 8 o'clock, their banking hour, and they had gone into the next day. So they marked me late. Although I paid it on the same day, it was after the time that the bank had closed. So what I learned from doing that is that now I pay my bills a day before they're due. So if your payment is due on the 15th of each month, pay your payment on the 14th, then that means they have received your payment, they have you on record, and your credit stays good. You got that? Yes, no, maybe? Also, another little trick, and Amos will share this with you. Banks look at how you spend your money on your credit cards. So if you have a $500 limit on your credit card, now maybe you have to purchase something that's $500, right? Let's just say you have to purchase a new computer for class and it costs $500. So you put $500 in your credit card, and then every month they might say to you, "Oh, you only have to pay us $25 a month, right? On time, and we're happy." So that's great if you pay the $25, right? But you're not paying the interest. So please understand how much interest the bank is charging you. So if they've charged you $5 interest and your payment is 25, you might want to pay $30 so that you cover the interest on the payments, right? You got that? Always pay more. Now, if you can pay more money than the $25, they just say, hey, you can pay 25. If you can pay $100 on your computer, right? Then you pay it off quicker, you pay less interest. So if your computer was $500 and you pay $100 a month, you'll have that computer paid off in 5 months. But if you pay $25 a month, like your credit card suggests, it could take you several years to pay off that $500 computer, and they will have made a whole lot of money off of you on interest. So just remember, try to pay things as quickly as possible. Now, if you had already saved the money in your savings account and you took out $500 to buy a computer, that's almost the best thing to do because the bank doesn't make any interest off you, right? But if you don't have $500 in your bank account at the time and you have to use your MasterCard or Visa to buy it, just remember to pay the interest on top of the payment every month, and let's try to pay credit cards down quickly. Because what happens is that the three credit bureaus are watching how you pay your bills. And if you have a $500 credit limit, that's great. You bought a computer, then you pay it down. But they really don't even want you to use all the credit they give you. Isn't that right, Mr. Amos? They only really want you to use 50% of it in order for you to be considered a good credit risk. Take it away, Mr. Amos.
That's actually correct, and the actual better percentage to have on your the balance to carry on your credit card is about 30%, because the higher you go, they say you're not using your credit facility correctly. So if you bought, like, say, a computer for 500 and your card limit is 500, pay off as much as you can to go under that 50% or 30% of, so below 250 effectively, or less than that. So they look at different aspects, that you're paying it on time, at least a minimum, and that you're not using up all your credit availability. So your credit line is equivalent to your credit limit. And also that you're using it and paying it off. So that's how they look at your credit score. And if you're kind of going in and out, they ding you on that because they're saying you're spending more than 50% of your credit. So look at it from both perspectives, whether you have a savings account and you have a credit card. So credit card makes it convenient for you to purchase, but it's also good to come back on the other side and pay off that balance. Whether you pay it off fully or you pay off a certain amount, know that they'll be charging you interest on a monthly basis. So even if you're paying the minimum, the balance is not going down because every month they're putting in interest on that. So look at that as well. So it's always an issue of being diligent on looking at your statement, whether you get a paper statement or you look at it online, to make sure that you're managing that that limit. Thank you.
Yes, fantastic. Now, can anyone tell me the difference between a credit card and a charge card? Anyone? Does anyone know the difference between a credit card and a charge card?
I believe a credit card is like that's your money. It's not any bank's money. That's your money. A charge card, I think that's what that is. I don't really know what that is.
Okay. Anyone else want to take a stab?
Um, a credit card is like where you buy stuff that you need to like water, food, and like a charge card is like when they charge you.
Okay, good try. So I'm going to share with you what the difference is.
I figured out the answer.
You figured it out? Okay, tell me, what's the answer?
The credit card is actually the bank's money, and the charge card is actually your money.
You can look at it like that. Right. So that's a very good outlook. So MasterCard and Visa are the credit card logos that you see on your charge cards, no matter what bank you bank with, Chase, Wells Fargo, they have their own credit card, and it'll be like a Chase Visa, right? Or Chase MasterCard, right? So with those, you don't have to pay the bill in full. You can pay a percentage of your bill, and you can pay it monthly. But the difference is a charge card is an American Express charge card. So when you charge something with your American Express charge card, it's the full bill is due in 30 days. Full bill. So most people, they have a personal charge card, they have business, but when the 30 days comes, they want all their money, right? So if you charged up $300 on your American Express charge card, the next month you owe $300 on the day that it's due. You can't pay half of it. You can't pay $25. You can't make a partial, it's called a partial payment. When you don't pay your balance in full, it's called a partial payment. So on American Express charge card, you have to pay the bill in full every 30 days. On your MasterCard and Visa credit card, you can pay your full bill if you choose to, but you don't have to. You have to pay the amount they tell you that is due. Do you understand? Does anybody have a credit card here? Anybody have a credit card? Have your parents put you on their credit card? Anybody have one?
Yeah.
You do?
Yes, I do.
Okay, which one do you have?
Credit card.
No, who is it with? That's what I mean. Is it with a bank or a store? Like J.C. Penney's, Macy's, like that? Okay, so when I was your age, my mother put me on her J.C. Penney credit card, and she asked J.C. Penney's to give me like a $300 limit because she wanted to see if I was going to be responsible with credit. So my first credit card was J.C. Penney's, and I could go buy, whatever I wanted. But I had to pay her to pay the bill because it was part of her credit card. It wasn't my very own credit card. I was part of her account. So that's why I asked that question. But I know now lots of folks are using debit cards and things to buy stuff more than credit. And back in the day, and Mr. Amos will agree with me, stores had credit cards, but the interest rate on those store credit cards were higher than the bank's MasterCard or Visas. So back in the day, like your MasterCard or Visa, you might pay, 8%, 10%, interest on anything you bought on MasterCard or Visa. But if you had a Macy's credit card, the interest rate would be like 22%, and so it's costing you more money to buy the same item. But the best way to stay out of debt is to pay with cash. The best way is to save your money for whatever it is you want to buy. You walk into a store, you pay cash, or you go online and use your debit card. Then that way you are not spending interest. Isn't that right, Mr. Amos?
That's correct. And most stores have gotten out of the store credit cards now, so you can always use a Visa or a MasterCard with any store, whether it's J.C. Penney's, whether it's Macy's, or any other big stores. And also, I mean, in this day and age, most shopping has gone online, so it's no longer going to a physical store. So like you buy your clothes and stuff from like Amazon or any other person, any other store which sells it online. So you use your standard Visa or MasterCard credit cards. There's another credit card many people don't hear about. It's called Discover. Have any of you heard of Discover credit card? Yep, it's out there, but it's very few people use it. And there was one long time ago called Diners Club Card. So me and Rhonda are much older than you, so we know about those. But those were there. So Discover is still there. I don't see much of Diners anymore, but Discover is still there. So the main three, I would say the main three is Discover, MasterCard, and Visa. But MasterCard and Visa are the two predominant ones. And the stores actually changed from store credit cards to a co-branded card. Like you now can get a Macy's MasterCard or a Kohl's Visa card. So it's still Visa, but it's specific to Kohl's, or I shop at REI most of the time, and REI has their own Capital One MasterCard. So it's kind of all moved to being credit cards as opposed to being specific store cards. And because the interest rates were so high and people are not paying on time, dinging their credit scores, and it was never a good idea to actually have a store credit card. You're better off having a standard credit card, Visa or MasterCard.
That's true. So in terms of credit score, a good credit score is like 700 and above. So if you have a credit score of 700 or above, that means you have good credit, and any place you want to get credit from is probably going to give it to you. Now, if you want to buy a house, you only need to have a 650 credit score. 650 is your credit score if you want to buy a house. If you want to move into an apartment, 650 is a good credit score. If you want to buy a car, 650 is a good credit score. And you will get you get a pretty good interest rate if you want to buy any of those items with a 650. Now, if you have a 500 credit score or anything under that, that means you have bad credit. That means that you are not credit worthy. But there are some companies that will still give you credit, but they'll give you a crazy interest rate. Like if you have a below a 500 credit score and you want to go buy a car, somebody will give you the money to buy the car, but your interest rate will be so high, your car note will be triple the payment of a person with good credit. So keep in mind, when you get older and you open up a credit card account, just remember to always pay on time and always watch your credit score, because it can determine whether you can get an apartment, whether you can get a house, whether you can get a car. And believe it or not, your credit score can determine whether you get a job. There are certain companies that if you apply for a job online, they ask you for your social security number. They run your credit because they want to see if you're managing your money properly before you come work for that corporation and manage their money. And they run it and they don't tell you. So when you're filling out job applications online, and I know you're not there yet because I know you're still young, but always remember, when you fill out a job application and anybody asks you for your social security number, they probably secretly are going to run your credit to see if you are an upstanding citizen. And it's not against the law. Any questions for us? No one has a question? Not one question? Who here plans on getting a summer job? Is anybody going to work this summer? Gabriel, tell me what you got planned for this summer.
Probably either I could start up my business again, which is recycling, or I can probably do a dog walking business.
Okay, tell me about your recycling business. I want to know more.
I believe I was 7 or 9 when I started. I got 7 things on my birthday, and one of those things were a business for recycling. I was pretty big on like saving the animals in the sea and stuff because I keep dying and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I started recycling, going around places, got certificates and stuff, but then I kind of stopped because during the summertime it was like a whole lot.
Mm-hmm. So what types of
But
items would you recycle?
uh, aluminum cans and plastic bottles.
Mhm. Now, would people pay you for these? Like if you went around and gathered up the plastic bottles and aluminum bottles, would somebody pay you for these?
No, I did this for free.
You did
But I
it for
also well, not really for free. I actually like got money for it,
hmm
but I didn't get paid to actually go and collect the bottles. I just got paid for like how many pounds I had.
Okay, so you took it to a facility and you turned
It's like a
in what you found.
nonprofit.
Oh, it's a nonprofit. Okay, that's fantastic. Now tell us about your other business.
I don't have other business. I actually want to start this probably this summer if I can. It's like a
hmm
dog walking business. I just walk dogs in my neighborhood.
Okay,
I
and
just
how?
moved and
Uh-huh.
we have like a whole lot of dogs here.
Oh, how much are you going to charge for your dog walking services?
It's like a little dog, at least like $5. Like a really big dog, like 10.
Okay, so $5 for a small dog and $10 for a big dog. Is that a
Mm-hmm.
day or a week?
Weekly.
Weekly. Okay, your prices are pretty good, wouldn't you say, Mr. Amos?
It is good, and it actually shows consistency in terms of pricing, whether it's for a small dog or for a big dog, because of the different ways you need to handle the different size of dogs. So yes, that's good.
Good, good.
It's encouraging to hear that.
Yes, it is. Do we have any
Mm.
entrepreneurs out there? Any other entrepreneurs? Anyone else interested in starting their own business or anybody else has a summer job lined up? Nobody's gonna cut the grass. Oh, we don't have, do we have, yeah, I guess no grass cutters here, no lawn cutters. I used to do that when I was your age. I would cut grass and make extra money. No one's cutting any grass? No landscaping? Okay, fantastic. Well, do you feel like you're ready for your test next week? Feel good about it? Think you'll be able to answer the questions
Yes.
about about banking and credit scores and budgeting? Oh, I do have one more question for you. We talked about investing in our last class.
Yes.
Tell me some of the companies you would invest your money in if you had the opportunity to.
Probably Apple.
I would probably do in like a company that I think will do good in the future.
Okay. What type of company would that be?
Probably something with electronics.
Okay. You would invest in electronics. Okay. Anyone else? So remember, investing is another way to make money. So investing is another way to make money. Mr. Amos, tell us all about that.
So investing, one of the key things to remember about investing is a concept called risk, because the money you put in there, the money you put in the bank on your savings account, it's insured by the federal government up to a certain amount, so you'll always get that money back. But when you put in, like when we did the exercise last week, you can you can buy a share at $50 on a Monday, and by that Friday, the share price would have gone down to like say 45. So you've lost your $5 for that in the swings. You haven't really lost it until you sell it, but it's going up and down. So that's the concept of risk. It can go up or it can go down. And you can, as we talked about last week, you can use a standard stockbroker. This is a person you open an account with who will be able to buy and sell the shares on your behalf, whether it's Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, Merrill Lynch through Bank of America, Wells Fargo Advisors, or you can do it by yourself online through online brokerage like Robinhood, um, and other accounts. And you can also, like, even Greenlight has its own investing capability on the app, on the Greenlight app. So you can do that by yourself, or your parents or your grandparents can help you do that. So the biggest aspect of investing is the concept of risk. That's to me is a big takeaway from that class. Risk. You're risking your money. You can either go up and you'll hear upside, or it can go down. So there's a downside. So you can either lose it or gain. So there's capital loss and capital gain. So when you sell it, if you bought it at $50 a share and you sell it at $100 a share, then you have a capital gain of $50. If you sell it at $30 a share, then there's a capital loss of $20 a share. So always keep that in mind and look at the different companies in different sectors. When I say sectors, I'm talking about technology. Most of the companies in Las Vegas are in gaming. So MGM, Boyd Gaming, Caesars Entertainment, that's gaming and hospitality. You also have like the hospitals. So like Summerlin Hospital is part of a group called HCA. So that's healthcare and different others. So there are others in auto industry, General Motors, Ford. So look at those and kind of do your homework in terms of which one is likely to go up or which one is making. So it's based on how much profits, earnings per share, how much profits they're making, and it will be reflected in their share price. So that's from a high level. As you go to other classes, I think some of you are in the investment club, correct? Yeah, so you can go deeper into that and understand how that, and you can actually practice how to buy and sell stocks, and that's investing.
That's right. So a lot of rich people have a lot of money, and their money is making money, right? And that's the name of the game. So I'll give you, for example, you guys heard of the lottery, right? I know we don't have the lottery in the state of Nevada, but when you travel outside of the state of Nevada, they have state lotteries like the Mega Millions, Powerball, stuff like that. So if Miss Rhonda were to win any of those, right, and she won $1 million, I would tuck that away in an account. There's a high interest account, and I would just leave it there and let my money continue to make money. And then after it made some money, then I would pull some of the interest off, and then I would use that to live. Does that make sense? So my $1 million is sitting in the bank. Somebody's paying me 10, 20, 30% interest on my $1 million. And I take that interest, and that's the money that I live my lifestyle with, because I live a very meager lifestyle. So that means I could make, depending upon the interest, $40,000 or $50,000 a year in interest, right? So for $50,000, if I put $1 million in the bank and I was gaining $50,000 a year in interest, I would just take that $50,000 a year interest and live off that interest. And I would live a very comfortable life, right? And my money is always there working. Never touched $1 million. You just live off the interest. Or you don't have to touch it at all. Maybe I have a different job. Maybe I have a job, but I still have $1 million in the bank, and I'm still gaining interest every year. And maybe I'm watching my interest grow, and maybe I help put somebody in my family through college. So I don't even touch my interest until it's time to help somebody else in my family get to where they need to be. So that's how rich people stay rich. Their money is always working. Their money is working 24 hours a day, even when they sleep, because they're making interest off of their money. You got it? That's why it's so important to save and so important to invest. Any questions for me and Mr. Amos? Yes, no, maybe? Okay, so we look forward to seeing you next week. Next week is your exam. We're going to take our exam next week. And then the following week, we're going to meet in person. We're going to meet in person the following week. Yeah. So
Isn't is the next weekend spring break though?
oh yes. Do you all have spring
Yeah.
break next week? Yes, no?
I do.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
have it.
Okay. Mr. Amos, do you want are you all traveling out of town? Will you be in town or are you traveling?
I'll be here.
Anyone else? Will everybody be available next Saturday to come to class? Anybody be traveling out of the country?
I'll be here.
I think since it's online, we should be able to have the class. And then the next one we'll be meeting, we need to confirm that everybody will be in town.
Okay, we'll do that. Okay.
Yes,
So
yes.
we'll look forward to seeing you next week on the 15th. We're going to take the exam and then we'll talk to you all on the 15th to see which day is good for everyone to come to the pizza party. And it may not be the 22nd, it may be another day, but everybody will look at their calendars. Okie dokie. Okay,
Okay.
thank you very much. See you
Have
next
fun
week.
and
Thank
enjoy
you.
your spring break.
Yes, have fun this
Thank you.
week. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Quick question.
Yes.
How can I make money on the money I already have?
By putting it in
I have a CD with 5.16% interest.
so you're making money. So the money you have in that CD is making 5% interest every month. And so depending upon, so say if you have $100, and I'm just making this number up. If you have $100 in a CD, then you're making $5.60 a month in interest. And as that interest compounds, and it compounds every month. So say the month of January you made $5.60, then you'll make another $5.60. So at the end of the year, you will have made about 60 something bucks, 60, 65 bucks at the end of the year on your $100 investment in that account. But the more money you put in the account, the more money you make off the interest.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? All righty, we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.